Stoicism is a scam. There, I said it. This ancient philosophy, praised by countless self-help gurus and social media influencers, might not be the golden ticket to inner peace that everyone claims. Sure, bits and pieces of Stoicism sound profound, like a shortcut to stay calm and collected amid life's chaos, but does all of it hold up in our modern world? Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to toss the entire philosophy into the garbage. In fact, there's one principle in Stoicism that remains incredibly relevant, a powerful concept that cuts through the noise of daily life. It's called Memento Mori, or remember, you must die. So, before we throw out Stoicism entirely, let's talk about why most of it doesn't fit as neatly into our complicated realities as some might suggest, and then dive into why this idea of Memento Mori stands out as an exception worth embracing. Let's begin with the main issue. Stoicism can feel oversimplified when taken as an all-encompassing life philosophy. You've probably seen the quotes plastered on social media. Phrases like, "control what you can control," and "pain is just an opinion" show up on artsy backgrounds of sunsets or mountain peaks. On the surface, it sounds like wise counsel. Who wouldn't want to control their emotions better or view setbacks more objectively? But if you take Stoic teachings literally, you might run into some problems. First, there's the idea of suppressing emotions. Traditional Stoics often stress the importance of not letting anger or sadness cloud your judgment. That sounds good in theory. No one wants to be controlled by rage or despair, but emotions are a natural part of being human. Telling someone to just remain calm when they're grieving or stressed can come off as dismissive. Emotions connect us to each other and can guide us to understand our needs and desires. Pretending they don't matter can lead to deeper issues. Second, Stoicism encourages detachment from people, places, and possessions as a way to avoid suffering. But ask yourself, if you never invest your heart in the things you care about, can you truly live a fulfilling life? Sure, you won't feel heartbreak as intensely, but you also won't experience the depth of human connection. To me, that's not really living. It's like refusing to play a game just because you might lose. The possibility of losing is part of what makes winning, or even just playing, so meaningful. Lastly, Stoicism was shaped by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, who lived in times radically different from our own. They didn't have smartphones pinging every 5 seconds, social media shaping our self-image, or skyrocketing rent. Of course, these ancient philosophers dealt with plagues, wars, and betrayals, real hardships, but the nature of stress has changed. The demands of modern life can make it feel like Stoic teachings are too idealistic to handle our day-to-day chaos without some serious tweaks. But here's the twist. Not everything in Stoicism is outdated. In fact, there's one principle that feels more relevant than ever. Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. That phrase might sound dark or depressing, but it's actually the opposite. It's a wake-up call to focus on what matters, because our time here is finite. Instead of telling you to stifle your feelings or detach from life, Memento Mori reminds you that life is short, so maybe you should live it fully. Why is that a big deal? Because remembering our mortality isn't about being sad, it's about recognizing our most precious resource, time. When you keep your limited time in view, you're less likely to waste it on trivial arguments, petty grudges, or endless procrastination. You start seeing life as the fleeting, fragile gift that it is, and that realization can change everything. Memento Mori isn't just a cool Latin phrase, it's a tradition that dates back centuries. In ancient Rome, after a military triumph, a general could have a servant whisper in his ear, "Remember you are mortal," to keep him humble. In the Middle Ages, artists painted skulls, wilting flowers, and hourglasses, symbols meant to remind viewers of life's fragility. In modern times, Steve Jobs famously credited his success to a daily reflection on mortality. He'd ask himself, if today were my last day, would I want to do what I'm about to do? That mental check kept him focused on what truly mattered, innovating, pushing boundaries, and not getting bogged down by trivial stuff. The beauty of Memento Mori is that it's not a philosophy telling you to feel less or detach more. It's a perspective shift that says, because you're alive right now, and because you know it won't last forever, make sure you truly live. How does this mindset show up in daily life? Marcus Aurelius, the famous Roman emperor, wrote personal reflections, later published as meditations, where he reminded himself of his mortality. He was ruling an empire during epidemics and wars, real hardships. By reflecting on the fact that he wouldn't be here forever, he stayed grounded in his purpose and tried to be a just leader. Renaissance art. If you've ever seen a painting with a skull or an hourglass, that's a Memento Mori symbol. Painters like Peter Klaas weren't trying to be morbid for shock value. They were prompting viewers to consider how they spend their fleeting hours on Earth. Steve Jobs, as I mentioned, every morning he'd question whether he truly wanted to do what was on his agenda. If the answer was no too many days in a row, he knew something in his life needed to change. That's applying Memento Mori to real-life decision-making. Your life. For a moment, think about the last time you lost hours scrolling through social media, or the last time you had a pointless argument over something you can't even remember. If you were to remember that your time is ticking away, would you still do it? Probably not. Memento Mori pushes you to decide, is this worth my limited hours? It's not about feeling guilty, it's about making choices that genuinely enrich your life. In our modern world, we're surrounded by distractions, phones buzzing, social media updates, and a constant pressure to juggle work, relationships, and self-improvement. It's easy to lose track of what really matters. We end up living on autopilot, reacting to immediate demands instead of making conscious choices. Memento Mori slices through this clutter. It asks, am I spending my time in a way I won't regret? Suddenly, that endless online debate or the fear of what people think of you seems less important. It's not about being reckless, it's about clarity. This is precisely why Memento Mori resonates today. With so many voices shouting for our attention, we need a grounding principle, a reminder to come back to the essentials. When you accept that life is short, you start to live more intentionally, saying yes to what matters, no to what doesn't, and letting go of the anxiety that comes from trying to please everyone. Alright, so how do you actually use Memento Mori in your daily life without spiraling into a fear of death or a constant existential crisis? For the morning reflection, each morning, take just a minute to remind yourself of your mortality. It might be as simple as asking, if this were my last day, what would I do with it? You don't have to make a grand plan, just let that thought set the tone for your day. For the physical reminder, keep an object that symbolizes Memento Mori. This could be a small token, a bracelet, or even a phone wallpaper with a subtle reminder. Each time you notice it, pause and remember, your time is finite. As a journaling, at the end of the day, write down one thing you did that truly mattered and one thing you'd change if you could live the day again. It's not about dwelling on regrets, it's about learning to prioritize what fulfills you. Very important to prioritize relationships. Think about the people in your life. Are you showing up for them as much as you'd like? Memento Mori reminds us that our time with loved ones is precious. A quick phone call, a handwritten note, or a face-to-face conversation can be more valuable than we realize. And also, seize the imperfect moment. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start a new project, apply for a dream job, or say how you really feel. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Life is messy. Do it now. Memento Mori is a gentle or sometimes harsh nudge that tomorrow isn't promised. Here's the bottom line. Stoicism, as a broad philosophy, can feel too rigid for our modern age. It offers gems of wisdom, but not all of it seamlessly integrates into the world we live in. However, the concept of Memento Mori stands out as an undeniably powerful tool, a simple, clear reminder of life's fragility that can help us live with more purpose. So the next time you catch yourself scrolling mindlessly, obsessing over petty problems, or putting off something you know you should do, remember this: you will die. It's not a threat or a curse, it's an invitation. An invitation to live with sincerity, passion, and courage. It's a push to decide what actually matters to you, and then go do it. That's why, in my book, Memento Mori isn't just a Stoic rule, it's a life rule. And if there's one thing we can take from Stoicism without question, it's that constant nudge to live like our days are numbered, because in the grand scheme of things, they are. Thank you for watching. If you found something meaningful here, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from a dose of perspective. Until next time, remember, every second counts.